Ford is doing some strange things lately. Some good, some questionable. I'm intrigued. What do you think about what they've just done? Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Electric Viking. Fantastic to see you on the channel. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for liking and subscribing the videos. I really appreciate your support. Now, for those of you who don't know, we now have membership options. There's 3 different options. If you want to jump on and become a member of the channel, there are different perks. You should find out what those are by clicking on the membership options link in the description section below. So first, I want to point out the fact that, Ford has made some good decisions over the last 6 months. At least better decisions than they made last year in terms of transitioning some of their cars to electric, building more battery factories, building some EV specific factories, buying a lot of land. Well, I'm not sure that was a wise decision. I think they've gone a bit overboard on that. But some good, some not so good. Now, Ford are saying they're only committing to having 40% of their global fleet electric by 2030. That's not good. But who knows? Maybe they'll figure out within the next 12 months that isn't going to work. I think there's a good chance that'll happen. Now, Ford Motor Company's US vehicle sales showed signs of improvement during the third quarter of this year, but they still fell by 27.4% from last year as an ongoing shortage of semiconductor chips interrupted vehicle production. Remember, last year's numbers were down on the year before that. The year before that's numbers were down on the year before that. Ford sales have been declining year over year for 5 straight years. Now, the drastic decline in the last quarter was narrower than auto forecasters expected, but wider than the overall industry. That's important. It was wider than the overall industry that was estimated to be down between 13% and 14% from the same time last year. Unless you're an electric car company, on the other hand, like BYD, Tesla, XPeng, NIO, and many other Chinese automakers, who all doubled over the last quarter in sales. Somehow, semiconductor chip crisis hasn't affected them. Magic. Anyway, Cox Automotive expected Ford's sales to be down by 37% in the third quarter, while Edmunds forecast 29.3% decline. Can somebody tell me where they get these numbers? Because I don't know. It's baffling to me. There is very little information that Ford gives out on this stuff. Must be some kind of insider trading going on here for them to have any idea what these numbers are going to be. So, the silver lining. Ford sales improved during the quarter from losses of more than 30% in July and August to 17.7% in September. I'm not sure you'd call that good. But anyway, that does signal better supply of semiconductor chips, apparently, according to CNBC. In Ford's vehicle inventory also improved to 236,000 cars and trucks, up by 21,000 units compared with the start of September. Now, when I made this video on the 18th of October, Ford's shares were up by more than 4% in trading. Now, Ford sold 400,843 vehicles in the third quarter, including more than 156,600 in September. Its sales heading into October were nearly 1.4 million, down by 7% compared with the first 3 quarters of 2020. So their sales are down by 7% this year compared with 2020, which was a significant down year for them compared to the previous year. Ford said reservations for its upcoming F-150 Lightning electric pickup have topped more than 150,000. That compares with 100,000 reservations in the end of the second quarter, according to the company. I think by the time they're actually making these pickup trucks, they'll probably have around about 250 to 300,000 pre-orders. It'll probably take them maybe 3 years or maybe 4 years to actually fulfill those pre-orders. By which time that they've actually fulfilled them, they will have had hundreds of thousands more. So they're never going to catch up there. At least not for the next 5 years, as long as they stay in business, that is. That's a good thing. Ford, I believe, will still exist as a pickup truck company, say 5 years from now. as long as they can transition those pickups to electric. Now, interestingly, Ford sold 400,000 or 401,000 vehicles in the third quarter. Tesla sold 245,000. Probably, I'd say, third or fourth quarter of next year, Tesla will surpass Ford's global sales, become a bigger automaker. Who would have thought that a couple of years ago? Crazy. Now, what's Ford doing to try to increase its profit margins and pay for its new EV factories, which is what it said it's doing? Ford said they're not taking out loans because, they didn't say this, but because their credit rating is very poor. So their loan repayments are extremely high. So they're not taking out loans. They're going to pay for these factories somehow with profits. So they're going to pay $10 billion for factories to be built over the next 2 years with profits that they're going to make over the next 2 years. Honestly, it does seem implausible, but I truly do hope they can pull it off. I do. I really do. We need Ford. We need General Motors. It's good for the world stability and for EVs. Just globally, it's a good thing if they can pull this off. It does seem like a tough ask. So what are Ford doing? Trying to improve profitability by taking risks. Personally, I like companies that take risks, but I'm not sure about this one. Now, Ford is removing the credit score minimum for 84-month car loans. That could make new car loans accessible to more people. But maybe you should be careful signing on the dotted line. Or maybe Ford should be careful about who they sign on the dotted line. So if they remove the credit score for their minimum for an 84-month car loan, well, it sounds a little bit subprime to me. Does it sound subprime to you? Removing minimums for 84-month car loans? What are the kind of people who usually get an 84-month car loan? I mean, sure, plenty of them are people who simply do it because they feel like they can. They might have the cash there to buy a car outright. But usually, people that go for an 84-month car loan are people that can't afford to get the car outright. They don't have the cash there, so they get a long car loan, right? But remember, interest repayments are quite high on these 84-month car loans. And the people who get them normally live pretty tight day to day. So it's a questionable risk, in my opinion. Questionable to me whether or not this is a good strategy for Ford, especially seeing as the cars that people will be getting for these loans will be worth nothing once the loan period expires, or in fact, halfway through the loan period. A lot of these cars will have lost almost all of their value as the entire market begins to transition more and more to EVs. We're talking 84 months. You can't tell me that within, say, 80 months, these cars will lose up to 80 to 90% of their original value. The question I have then is, will Ford have tens of thousands of people driving around in cars where the loan is higher than the car's value? Right? That's what happened during the subprime mortgage crisis. So my question is, Ford are taking risks right now. Clearly, they're taking risks because they have to. They haven't transitioned to EVs. They didn't take it seriously. Now they're sort of waking up and saying, well, we need to take this seriously. But they're in a position where they have poor credit rating themselves, and they're going to extend finance to other people with equally poor credit rating. Does sound like a potential recipe for disaster. Now, for most of us, buying a car involves getting a loan. Well, not most of us, but a lot of us. Whether from a bank, a credit union, or an auto manufacturer's captive finance company. Whether or not we're approved to that loan is determined by our credit score, except in one case. According to a report published by Cars Direct on Friday, Ford has removed the minimum credit score requirement for its 84-month car loans. I think this could be a good strategy for, say, a 24-month car loan, maybe even a 48-month car loan. Maybe, but absolute maximum. But doing this for an 84-month car loan, fraught with disaster when we're right in the midst of having this enormous EV disruption. Now, I think this can be considered problematic for a few reasons. Typically, a minimum FICO score is taken as an indicator, along with other factors like debt-to-income ratio. More on this later though. To determine a buyer's ability to repay, removing that score makes it easier to buy a new car, but it also has the potential to let people get themselves into loans with higher interest rates, which ties the customer to a lengthy repayment plan for an asset that's very likely, extremely likely to depreciate extremely quickly considering our current climate and considering it's an 84-month car loan, these cars are going to be worth not a lot after, say, 60 months. Now, I think this change in loan practices could be construed as being predatory, particularly since the change doesn't apply to any of the company's other loan products at all. Now, personally, I don't think an 84-month car loan is the right move for anyone. One of the reasons interest rates from Ford Credit on 7-year loans are very high at 6%, which means if you bought yourself a sweet new base Mustang GT today for about $38,000 and you financed the whole thing, no down payment, no trade-in, you'd end up paying around $45,000 in total by the end of the 7-year loan period. That's nearly $8,000 in interest alone. Now imagine that, say 5 years into this loan period, nobody wants a petrol Mustang anymore. They all want electric Mustangs because, well, that's the future. It's like buying an old Nokia when people are onto iPhone 7s or iPhone 8s. It just doesn't happen. Now, another downside to an 84-month loan is the simple fact that your car loan length is longer than your new car's warranty. This means that if something goes wrong after the basic 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, you're on the hook for fixing it while you're still making payments, and potentially those payments are more than the car's value. In fact, probably are. Very likely are more than the car's value. If your income level dictates needing that long of a loan to afford the monthly payment on your car, this could be a very tough pill to swallow, and I think there's a good chance many of these people will just walk away. Let's just quickly go over Ford Credit for a moment. It is a significant amount of Ford's revenue. The Ford Credit segment is comprised of the company's vehicle-related financing and leasing operations. The company offers a variety of automotive financing products to and through dealers worldwide. Most of the Ford Credit business involves financing of vehicles, supporting dealer operations, and lease contracts. Ford Credit posted quarterly revenue of $2.6 billion for Q2 2021, or roughly 9.7% of total revenue. You can see here, right? Credit makes up 10% of their total revenue. Now, this figure was down by 5% year on year, making Ford Credit the only one of the company's operating segments to see declining revenues. So what happened, right? During the quarter, Ford Credit benefited from an historically low loss to receivables ratio, which reflects low losses and strong net recoveries. Ford Credit's US auction values were also 39% higher than a year ago, reflecting robust demand for used cars right now. After we just had a pandemic, we had historically low car sales last year, and that's driven up demand for used car sales this year. But is this temporary? I think it's extremely temporary. I think Ford is saying, well, this year we didn't lose much on credit. We didn't have a whole lot of people defaulting, so we can risk this more next year. Tell me what you think about this strategy. Is this a good strategy? Would you pursue this strategy? Do you recommend this strategy? Would you invest in Ford after hearing that this is what their strategy is? I'm really curious to know. Now, keep on sending me some emails. Sorry that I haven't answered some of them. Some of them have been going to my junk email folder, but I'll make sure that I check my junk email folder in future so that they don't get missed. Now, thank you for your support. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for being awesome. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.